Hello, my friend, and welcome to Wisdom Trek. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 5-day-per-week wisdom and legacy building podcast. This is day 713 of our trek, and time for our Philosophy Friday series. Each Friday, we will ponder some of the basic truths and mysteries of life and how they can impact us in creating our living legacy. We are currently focusing on how to live with less fear. We are exploring the trails on our trek of life that will help us to be fearless. Now, this does not imply that we'll ever reach a point where we are completely without fear, for that is not only impossible, but also not wise. There is a time and a place for an appropriate level of fear, but most of the fears that we experience on a daily basis has no grounding and can be eliminated as we grow in wisdom, insight, and understanding. So our objective today is to experience a FearLess Friday on our trek of life. We are broadcasting from our studios at the Big House in Marietta, Ohio. This year for our family and many others, it has been a bit of a trying time. With our granddaughter's Hazel's leukemia, me breaking my femur bone from a fall from a ladder, employment issues, and death of close family members, it is a time where we need courage to get through. With the recent hurricanes, fires, and shootings that are impacting our countries and countries around the world, many thousands of people need courage to carry on with their trek of life. With these thoughts in mind, today on our trek we will explore how we need to be of good courage. I want to start out today with a couple of humorous stories, where fear was not nearly as significant as what many of us have faced this year. I read a story about a man who bragged about how brave he was because he had cut off the tail of a ferocious, man-eating lion with his pocket knife. When he was asked why he hadn't cut off the lion's head, the man replied, "Well, someone else had already done that." And there's another story about a little boy who was having trouble sleeping during a storm. You know what it's like, and most of us have been there. After Mother tucked him in bed, and she was about to turn off the light, he asked with a tremor in his voice, "Mommy, will you sleep with me tonight?" The mother smiled and gave him a reassuring hug. "I can't, dear," she said. "I have to sleep with Daddy." A long silence was broken at last by a shaken little voice who said, "He's a big sissy." Do not fear, or fear not. It's a common phrase found throughout the Bible. In fact, we are warned about being fearful over 360 times from Genesis to Revelation. Therefore, I believe it must be important for us to study this. Our scripture reference is from the Old Testament book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy was written by Moses 1,400 years before the birth of Christ. It is the fifth of 5 books penned by Moses, and the first 5 books of the Bible are called the Pentateuch. Penta meaning 5, and Tut is book or vessel. It's a wonderful book written over a span of only a month. It is a compilation of speeches written by Moses, who lived to be 120 years old. At the end of his life, God appointed Joshua to be his successor, and our specific scripture today are words of encouragement from Moses to the nation of Israel and the words of encouragement from Moses to Joshua. So let's read Deuteronomy chapter 31, verses 6 through 8. "So be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, and do not panic before them. For the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you." Then Moses called for Joshua, and all the Israelites watched. He said to him, "Be strong and courageous, for you will lead these people into the land that the Lord swore to their ancestors that he would give them. You are the one who will divide it among them as their grants of land. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you." So we see here that Joshua is leading a new generation of Israelites into the land God had promised his forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Joshua led them into the promised land, the land known as Canaan. Biblical history tells us about a covenant that was made between God and Abraham, the father of all nations. And this is found in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, and he gives us these powerful words from God to where he says to Abraham, "Leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families of the earth will be blessed through you." And then moving on through chapter 15, verses 5 and 6, "Then the Lord took Abram outside and said, 'Look up into the skies and count the stars if you can. That's how many descendants you will have.' And Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith." As far as we are told in the Bible, Abraham had never heard the voice of God before this first encounter. Whether God appeared to him in physical form during the first encounter, we don't really know. But it is clear that he did in the second encounter that we read today. Although Abraham may have initially had some doubt and fear, he followed God's instructions because he had faith. The biggest difference for Abraham is that he would be leaving an area that was core to his family and civilization to a place that was just emerging. Abraham has to start new in a place that was previously unknown to him. He goes by faith to an unknown land. Joshua also goes by faith into an unknown land, the same promised land that God had promised Abraham. Throughout our lives, God may lead us into places that were previously unknown to us, too. We, too, must trek through life by faith. God spoke to Abraham and Sarah, his wife, "Go into the land that I will show you." God told Moses to go to a place that he did not know. God, speaking through Moses, told Joshua to go to a place that he did not know. So I'll ask you today, where is your trek of life taking you? Abraham, Moses, and Joshua's journeys begin with hesitation and with some fear. God said, "Go, and do not be afraid." As with us, there may be first hesitation, then fear, but ultimately there will be hope. If we follow God's precepts that are found in His Word, then there is always hope, no matter what we are facing at the time. In Joshua chapter 1, verse 6, he was told, "Be strong and courageous, for you are the one who will lead these people to possess all the land that I swore to their ancestors I would give them." Strength and courage are the foundation we need to set out, to continue, and to ultimately complete our journeys. Be of strength and good courage. No journey's destination is completely known. None of us really know what each day may hold. Think of your own life and the decisions that you are facing. Do you trust that God is directing you? Or do you feel separated for some reason? Is there some behavior that is holding you back? A sacrifice that you must make, if you will. God is asking each of us for our all. Scripture is full of references throughout the Old and New Testaments. So let me ask you another question. Are you facing a particular challenge? Has the economy beaten you down? Are you struggling with some addiction or relationship problem? Be of strength and good courage. Nothing is too big to bring to God, nor is anything too small. One of the things that I've noticed on my own trek of life is that we grow through adversity. When we endure, when we trust that God will lead us through the unknown, there is always a story of faith on the other side of the trek. If there is one thing I can do for you as a friend, it is to encourage you each day on your trek of life. During the many times in my life that I have endured hardships, and I have, I trust that my stories will help you. I know that we'll all face more hardships in the future, and although we may have hesitation and fear at times, ultimately we do have hope. Strength and courage are the foundation that we need to set out, to continue, and to ultimately complete our journeys. Next Fearless Friday, we will explore facing fear in the valley. I know that you'll find these insights interesting and profitable in living a rich and satisfying life. Our next trek, though, will be Mindshift Monday, where we will help you to live differently by thinking differently. So encourage your friends and family to join us and to come along with us on Monday for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy. If you'd like to listen to any of the past daily treks or read their associated journals, they are all available at wisdom-trek.com. You can also subscribe to iTunes or Google Play so that each day's trek will be downloaded to you automatically. And thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal. And as we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and then leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and then create a great day every day. See you on Monday.